Good afternoon everybody, and welcome to the second of our weekly wellbeing videos. In case you haven't met me before and didn't catch the video last week, my name is Beth. If you'd like to watch last week's video, do scroll back through the Space4 Facebook page and find it. I'll get on to this afternoon's talk in a minute, but I just thought it was quite interesting that this wellbeing leaflet dropped through my door yesterday morning, and you might be able to see that it's already quite well thumbed through, and I think it's well worth having a look through and holding on to it for future reference. In case you haven't had one yet, I think you will be getting one. I think everybody in the North East is getting one, if not the whole country. But I will put a link to the online version in the comments at the end. Anyway, this afternoon I thought we'd have a look at anxiety, and specifically anxiety related to the current situation where we're in, and anything to do with anxiety around the COVID-19 virus and lockdown. Human beings are programmed to be alert for threats all the time, and when a threat is perceived, the body and the mind prepares itself to fight the threat or to run away and escape. And you may have heard of this before. It's called the fight or flight response, in which we have a state of enhanced arousal through the whole body, ready for action, as it were. And this is a response that helps keep us alive and keeps us safe. But it can become a problem when our body is in this constant state of arousal. It's not designed for that. Currently, we're under the threat of the COVID-19 virus, and that threat isn't going away immediately. It's not easing up, and therefore many people are finding that they're constantly anxious and that their body is constantly in this state of preparation to fight or flee. Anxiety could be relating to the virus itself and concerns about your health. It could be relating to finances, employment, and to the quality of relationships during the lockdown period. But to reassure you that it's normal, the Office of National Statistics have said that at the end period of March this year, 50% of the adult population in Britain were feeling in a state of high anxiety. And this is double what it was in the same period the year before. So don't feel alone if you are feeling anxious. Now, I've put together a few things that we might be able to try to help us control anxiety. I've got a list of 5 things. I picked these from articles by psychologists and psychiatrists as being things that can help us at this particular time. It may be that you try them and they don't work for you, and that's fine. It may be that it takes a bit of trying to get used to doing things a different way, and that's fine as well. It may be that you want to try just one thing to start with and see if it makes a difference. It can be a big challenge to introduce too many changes at the same time, so that's probably the way to do it, 1 or 2 at a time. But these are just for you to think about, and decide whether you think they might work for you. So the first one is to do with the level of news consumption. it can be easy, the way things are, to get sucked into watching the continual cycle of news about coronavirus. It's especially when it seems that it's constantly changing advice and information. But this can feed into the cycle of anxiety. And so one of the suggestions is that you limit news consumption, that's watching or reading news or listening to news on the radio, to maybe 30 minutes in a day, or it could be 10 minutes of the day. And you might want to choose a specific time of day that you do that, say during breakfast television or something. That's actually something I have been doing for a while, since before coronavirus became a threat in this country. And I have found that it's affected how I feel, that I feel better when I'm not constantly being faced with all the bad things that are happening in the world. That's not to say that I don't care about them at all. I do care very much, but causing high levels of stress isn't very constructive and doesn't help anybody. But as well as limiting the time spent taking in the news, I think it's important to make sure that when you are taking in the news, you use a reliable, balanced news source. Now, much of the media is prone to wild speculation and sensationalised stories, especially at the moment. And that's because they are taking advantage of our anxiety, really, and to sell their papers or sell their programme. But it's important to make sure that the information you're getting is quality information, that it's accurate, and that there isn't any advantage at the moment to speculation. None of us really know what's going to happen in the future, and making dramatic guesses and so on isn't necessarily good for our mental health. If you're worried that you're going to miss a key piece of advice, it might be helpful to ask a family member or a friend who isn't experiencing the same anxiety at the moment to just let you know if something has changed in the advice we're being given. What I tend to do is to skim through the headlines on the BBC website and pick out articles to read if I think they look like they're going to be telling me something new. Anyway, the second thing on the list is to connect with others. Again, I think as human beings, we're wired to be social creatures. Even if we like to live on our own, we need other human contact. And I think the expression social distancing can be quite a negative phrase, really. And it might be helpful to think about it as physical distancing rather than social distancing. For me, especially, I find it very important to speak to somebody on every day. I live on my own, so I don't have anybody in the household to speak to. But even if you do, it might be that it's healthy for you to speak to somebody outside the house every day. And whether that's on the phone or chatting with people over your garden fence during the Clap for Carers on a Thursday evening, or whether it's having Zoom coffee meetings with family and friends, or however it is that it works for you. I think maintaining that contact is very important, and to use those times to support others and allow others to support yourself. And that's probably something we would do naturally without thinking about in normal times, but it makes it more challenging at the moment when we can't see each other to keep on supporting each other. So maybe make it a more conscious part of your day. So number 3 on the list is routine, and developing a routine that works for you within the current circumstances. Now, you may not be able to stick to your normal pre-lockdown routines. In fact, probably most of us can't. But creating a new routine, a new rhythm of life can help us to ensure that the really essential things are done, like preparing meals, getting the kids to do their schoolwork and so on. It can make us feel better if we have a routine that makes sure that we get up and we brush our teeth and get on with our day, kind of thing. But really to concentrate on just making sure that you get the essential things done. Now, it may be that you think that it is essential to iron your clothes. For me, that is not an essential thing, so it's not priority at the moment. As far as I'm concerned, a few creases aren't going to hurt anybody, so I'm concentrating my energies elsewhere. Also, routine can help you develop a healthy sleep pattern. If you get into a pattern where you're lying in the morning and staying awake late at night, it can be quite disruptive for your sleep pattern. That's not to say you need to beat yourself up if you have an occasional day like that, or even 3 days in a row or whatever. It's an encouragement to try to do it differently more than anything. And if it doesn't help for you, again, as I've said, don't worry. Number 4 on the list, look after yourself. Now, I know everybody's going to say, oh, I haven't got time for myself, I have to look after my partner, my children, my mother, but stress relief is essential. It's more important than the ironing, to my mind, and it's something that is necessary to make time for. So make time for you, something that you enjoy doing every day, whether it's watching a film, reading a couple of chapters of a book, whether it's going for a walk, having a long, luxurious bubble bath. That's one of my favourites. Having a quiet cuppa on your own in the garden with a nice piece of cake, or whatever it is that works for you. You will probably know what activities are meaningful to you and relaxing for you. If you don't, maybe it's an opportunity for you to try some new things. I find that I really enjoy jigsaws, and I know not everybody does, they're not for everybody, but it really keeps my mind occupied for the time that I'm doing it, so my mind doesn't run away worrying about things. Exercise is particularly important because it helps to use up the adrenaline produced from anxiety, and it also releases endorphins, which make you feel good. They can make you feel happier in your mind, and they can make your body feel better as well. And it doesn't have to be a lot of exercise to have that effect. You don't have to go running for an hour every day. I recently discovered the concept of exercise snacks, which is just having 5 or 10 minutes of exercise once or twice a day, and that can be enough to boost your mental well-being and your physical well-being. But anyway, finding things to do can be really helpful to get you to focus on something else other than worrying, and to give you pleasure. And the final one of my 5 is hold on to hope. Remind yourself that you are getting through this. I mean, we're a few weeks in now, aren't we? What is it, 8-9 weeks in? And we're getting through it. And it is an unprecedented situation. So, you know, it's an achievement to get through it. But try not to think too far into the future, how long this is going to last and things like that. There's all kinds of speculation about that, but mostly it's guesswork. And it is, yes, it is just speculation. So when it comes to planning, try to think just about the day ahead or the week ahead, and not think too far in the future. It may be that we've had to cancel plans that were important to us, whether it's holidays or a house move or a special birthday party. And you can allow yourself to be sad about that. And I think it's important too. But alongside that, remember that we will be able to do these things again one day. And allow yourself to look forward to doing those things. You might want to write a list of things that you wish you could be doing now, and promise yourself that you will do those things when we're able to. And remember, this will pass. We maybe don't know when, but it will pass. And also, maybe look on it as a chance for us as we go back to regular life to make our lives better in some way, having reflected on what's important to us over this time. Again, as I've said, these are suggestions. They're suggestions based on advice from people, qualified people, but we're all different, and may not work for you. It may be worth giving some of these things a go, though, if you are struggling with anxiety. But if you are struggling and you're not finding helpful things to ease the anxiety, do call your GP. There may be things your GP can do to help you. I have been taking medication for a long time now, and I find it very helpful. Because don't forget that when you're anxious, there's all kinds of weird chemical reactions going on in your brain, and medication can help bring a balance to that. And it may be that talking to people would help as well. And very often, if we express our worst fears, then the fears can become smaller. And if you don't know friends or family members who you feel you can do that with, do call the Samaritans. And once again, their number is 116123, and that number is free from any phone at any time of day. They're open 24 hours a day. So we're coming to the end again now. Thank you for those who've already made suggestions about what they would like to be covered in these sessions, in these videos. I think two of the main ones are sleep problems and mindfulness, and they're both things that we'll cover in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But do comment with any other thoughts you have of things you might like covered, or if you would like to tell me in more depth or more confidentially, then do message the Space4 Facebook page. And so for the moment, this is me signing off. I will try to put some useful links in the comments, and I hope you have a good week.